our way. It's a brand new day, and we'll be making history. Are you with me? Won't you stay? We have come so far. This is who we are. And like the rising sun, we have just begun to play our part. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show our colors. We are heroes and dreamers. We are restless believers.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Gail of Gaia, and this is Free Range, where we graze on wild ideas, and we have wonderful guests. And I have a very interesting guest today. You haven't heard from her before, and she is a super soldier, and she has a wonderful website that she's created and a whole bunch of other things that she does. So I'm going to bring her on. Her name is Annie Blue. And her website is all blue. Welcome, Annie.
Oh, thank you, Gail. Thank you so much for having me on. I totally appreciate it.
Oh, I'm delighted. I'm so anxious to hear about your story, and my listening audience, I'm sure, will want to know too. And then I have a bunch of questions for you, but why don't you go ahead and start and tell us a little bit about yourself so people have some background information.
Okay. Well, I what do I want to say here? I awoke, I guess I would say, in 1987 with the harmonic convergence. And in 1989, I started awakening to the fact that I had pretty serious abuse memories. Most of course, were ritual abuse. And then as time went by, I realized I was also part of something called the SuperSoldier program. So I want to share about my journey that I've taken through this path of healing, and it's been a long one. I've been at it for a very, very long time, but I call myself a surpasser because I've weathered so much and come up and out in so many neat ways. So I'm actually interested in sharing more of that component of it. Let's see what else. And I in the last year have been doing podcasts called Recovering Through Grief and interviewed really, really wonderful healers out there. Tony Rodriguez, Jen McCarty, Ileana, the Star Traveler. I mean, they're very, very good. Yeah. And they're people that have written, done so much with their grief. Like it's just, again, to me, they're surpassers, and their wise wisdom is worthy of listening to. One of my favorites is on fate and destiny. So there's someone that works with what are called the fates, which are kind of like angels and elementals. So it's very, they're just good. Stephen Popietek is a cosmic shaman. So I just feel very, very grateful that we have people like that out there.
And you know what I think, Annie? I think we're going to be, if they're not awake already, they're going to be waking up at a faster rate right now because they're needed. They really are needed. The normies, so to speak, are going to really need the help from healers.
I agree.
They're going to be blasted with a whole bunch of stuff they never had a clue about.
And everything I'm hearing right now is that for any healers, because there's so many healers that have kind of hidden. This is on my second time of being seen on a video. All my podcasts I've done are audio. But they're just saying it's time because there's like 7 or 8 billion people, and they exactly like what you said, they're going to need healers in a big way to understand and be able to handle everything that's going to come their way. That's going to be a major shock.
And here's another major shock, and I won't talk about it much here because I am on YouTube, but the biohacking that has gone on, the frequencies that are being put out are sometimes the symptoms that we get are from the frequencies, not necessarily from what most people have been led to believe, because it's another one of those rabbit holes where we've been fed a bunch of lies, and they always have a solution, but it's always based on a very nefarious plan.
Mm-hmm. They're very good at diversion
Yes.
and distraction.
Yes.
Yeah, it's definitely a microcosm of the macrocosms for sure.
What do you remember about being in the SuperSoldier program? Anything in particular, or what
Well,
was your
first of all, let me share what a super soldier is. I think it's helpful to
I
understand.
think that's a great idea.
But I mean, it really is. It's fascinating, and I guess if I would wish for anything, it's to have reverence for super soldiers, because when you talk about needs, the super soldiers are of high value to our whole global economy and global world, because there's so much that they have the ability to do in a supportive way. You know, this was done in a nefarious way, but yet and who we are and what we can offer is a mighty force. So
Oh,
there were,
that's good to know.
yeah, I know. I mean, it's neat to think about. I mean, that's one of the things that some of my alters were talking about with even Hawaii. It's like, be careful taking all those children, because these children nowadays, a lot of them that are coming in are major light bearers, and you get them together in a collaborative group like that, and they can be a mighty force. So it's like, we always think of it, that's the polarity this one way, but there is also this opposing polarity that's very much of the light. And I have total faith that all those children that they somehow hijacked related to Hawaii are not done with the support that they're going to bring to this planet. I just think they're going to do something quite big. So that's just my intuitive thoughts on it. So the super soldiers were created by the military. A super soldier is an individual who possesses enhanced physical, psionic, and mental capabilities. They may be given steroids and or augmentation. They are trained to do military, psychic, telekinetic, or combat warfare typically used for the Dark Cabal to further their agenda. They are the very first and more advanced type of intelligence being developed on Earth, sometimes with ET assistance. They would use them, over and over on missions, and if any died, technologies would be used to recover them, such as a regen tank. The Advanced Contact Intelligence Organization states that super soldiers started to appear on Earth about 6,000 years ago.
Oh
That's,
my God.
yeah, quite possibly through Montauk and time travel experiments from our timeline and other mirror realities. They are often used in 20, 40, and 60 year and back missions, regenerated with re-aging technology and femto biobots. Their memories are wiped and they are placed back in time moments before they are taken. You may be familiar with the terms Manchurian Candidate and MK Ultra. And it is wild, if you can imagine, Gail, that you're a 10-year-old kid, you're in grade school, and they take you, bend time and take you, and you're gone for 20 years, and they bring you back to maybe right around the time when they took you, but you've just lived 20 years.
And you don't have a clue about it either,
No,
correct?
you don't, but you sure do act it out in so many ways. I can't even tell you. Like I have some alters that are on their third 20 and back. Like I have big time alters, avatars, whatever you want to call them, out there still doing big work. Some people are able to completely integrate them. I haven't been successful at such a big task, but yeah. So yes, it completely foiled my whole childhood. Like I really did have relationship issues.
What kind of things are you doing? Well, I have relationship issues too, it seems, but I don't know if it's related.
Well, truthfully, the core of it for all of us in humanity is trauma. I mean, there is literally so much trauma on this earth. So I first woke up to it, I was at work. I had a retail store at the time, and I read some kind of article about a Miss America coming to town, and she was speaking about her father sexually abusing her. And my entire body went into a trauma freeze, a trauma response. I was shaking all over and crying so hard, and I literally crumbled down to the floor and went, oh my God, I think I've been abused. and called my mother. I think I called her the next day, and my mother never came to my business. She never came near my business. And she came over literally within 5 minutes. She got over there so fast. And she said, "You're severely depressed, you're mentally ill, and you need to go to the hospital." I'm like, "No, I'm the
What?
best. I'm the best I've ever been. I really like where I am right now," because I had already started doing inner healing work. And I said, "So I disagree with you, but I am rattled about this." And she left really rattled and had a car accident right outside the door. So that was like, okay. And I'm from a,
Wow. Why do you suppose that was?
because
She
she
knew
needed,
something.
well, I would
Or she-
say in her case, it's parts and alters, because all of us, I believe, have parts. All of us are fragmented.
Oh,
And
so she was abused too. Is what you're saying,
she was
basically.
she was a rockette, and she started dancing when she was 2 years old. She danced her whole life, starting at 2. That's a tough life,
Oh
So
my God.
yeah, and so within all this, it doesn't mean that I didn't, like, I'm from a huge family, but when this stuff hit, when it came up, then it was like they call it flooding. And it's literally where you get so many different memories, or some people do, and they just come. And what even happens when you have what are called parts or alters like that is sometime a part can be coming and another part can be going out. And so they kind of get caught over each other. It's the weirdest feeling. I used to call it switching. And it was just so weird as one would come in better and one would go out. So I really dove in, which has been my nature my whole life, and also probably why I'm here, with taking on something like this. So one of the things that's happened really in the last couple of weeks, it's been so beautiful, is I have been so diligent at doing my deprogramming and my healing work. I have never quit. I have spent tons of money to be here now, and I really, really, really feel graced and blessed to be where I am right now. That I think the neatest thing that's coming in for me is, like, I don't just think, I believe that before we come here, we almost like go through a menu and say, okay, I want to learn this and this and this and this. And, the choices on the menu are all tough. But this one was a doozy, because literally they put a rag in my mouth at first breath as a baby. Like, whatever my light was, they wanted squashed right away, and they wanted me to compartmentalize right away. And I actually got that up about a year and a half ago. And this stuff rocks you. Like, I can't even tell you how much I love children. Children are my favorite ever. And I have witnessed so much. I've held so many children in my arms. So it's been quite a journey. And I may lose my thought process, because that happens when I start to tell this stuff, because some of my parts get in and interfere. But so I just dove in. I actually did 12-step stuff as a addendum to what I did, but I did something called holotropic breath work, and I really like it. It's almost like an organic.
Ooh,
It's like
interesting.
an organic LSD trip. It was designed by somebody who'd really studied a lot about LSD, and you do you do really intensive breath work, and then go into music that takes you through all your chakras, and then and you take turns. One person sits for you, so they have to experience what you're going through, and it triggers and opens up stuff in them, and then you take turns and get to sit for the other person. So you get like a double process when you're doing this work. And then at the end, you do artwork. And for me, I did so much of this. It really helped, along with what I would call regression work, where I got it up through hypnosis, stuff like that, which some people don't believe in. But I'll tell you what, between the two together, I am astounded at everything, that I did get up. But so it's a really neat.
So it brings up the memories so you can process them and release them, because they've been stuffed down in. I don't want to think about this. I don't want to hear about this. I don't want to feel this. I don't want anything to do with this. And so trying to get it back up and out is, I can see how that could be a real challenge and get stuck easily and so on. Wow. Because were you from a military family by any chance?
I wasn't. But what I have that's a biggie is I have a twin brother, and I did get to meet Mengele. I met Sidney Gottlieb is the originator of MK Ultra. He was with the 3-letter agency, and also Michael Aquino. So I've been around them all. I've witnessed them.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doozies, but being a twin was a real biggie. Like from the whole way on.
Yeah, that's something. I had 2 women twins who were abducted, and it's like either they like twins, especially if they're identical twins, but any kind of twin they want to work with because the similarities in the genetics and so on, and then they try to do the one. So was your brother have the similar experiences that you do, only different?
Not that I know of. He had severe chronic headaches, but nobody else in my family that I know of has ever gotten any kind of memories of this. I have like a memory where they brought forth my entire family and basically said, unless you do this, we're going to kill your entire family. So as a child, I have, but one of the things that's really hard about this stuff is you're not always accurate on what is accurate because there's so much that they can do with virtual reality on a screen. What they call
my God, yes.
So it's it's a dance.
It's just like it reminds me. What that reminds me of. I remember the story by the other lady that I just did. I can't think of her name. Holly, thank you. Anyway, Holly, when she was telling me the story about some of the things she went through, and towards the end, about where they had all these kids in cages, and then there was this witch eating her own heart, and I'm going. And at first, I'm going, oh, how could that be possible? Then I thought, CGI. Mm-hmm. What a way to terrorize the children.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, because of my age, because I'm in my 70s.
You don't look at.
I do. If you look up close.
But well, hey, girlfriend, I'm there too. So
I know. Yay! Yay! Wise women, elders. So, the way that I would say I lucked out. I'm what's called second generation, and now they're like way far advanced, 10 to 15th generation. They hadn't started using the black oily stuff to enhance. I mean, when I am around others that are younger than me, they're so freaking brilliant and so gifted. I definitely had a couple experiences with it, but not to the degree they were. My stuff was very, very archaic and black magician-y and just friggin' insane. It's just an insatiability with insanity that is inexplicable with what they did. Inexplicable. I mean, they used me for a lot of films, marketing films, where they would do a Last Supper with all dead children sitting at the table, and have me be the person that was marketing it as a little kid and taking pictures. They do Christmas time where they sat with, skeletons or something and reading Christmas. I had to read Christmas carols. I mean, it's just
sick.
Yeah. And cut up body parts, and I had to sew them together. Kind of a trophy case. I mean, they just went very far with who they were. And I really seriously liken it to insatiability. And what I want to say is that I had this more of an epiphany because I really like to step back from everything and look at the bigger picture. So like when I was talking about that, I think we kind of set up what we want to come here and learn when we get to incarnate in here. Mm-hmm. And mine's been such a hefty one, literally from first breath. And the neatest thing I learned about this week, I'm going heavy duty more into the physical part of healing. I started more with the emotional because I did the memories. Then I did more of the mental because I wanted to understand my parts. I wanted to be able to assimilate, why does this even happen? And spiritual has always been, I started out doing Keelantic science that Ashiana Dean, she wrote the book, The Voyagers. Carrie Cassidy talks about her. I was part of that group. And now I'm going into the physical. So the physical's been really, really cool because I'm learning about trauma and all the 3 trauma responses and what happens to us on every level. And it's all tying together more things for me. But the newest thing I learned about was something called, it's a new therapy that's out there for trauma, and it's called organic intelligence. And it feels very right brain. It's one of those things where what they're saying is that so much of the therapies that are out there to heal trauma, they deal with what's wrong with me, and you more focus on the negative and the deep and the dark stuff, and you go into it real deep, and it's almost like a hamster wheel where it like it kind of it re-traumatizes you. Like if you keep telling somebody about a rape, it's like you're re-raping yourself. So
That's one thing that I always I have to interject here. I get exactly what you're saying, but that's one of the things that I wondered always about the 12-step program, because they have you get up and say that you're this negative, I'm an alcoholic and I'm, that kind of thing. So you're constantly reinforcing that to be real. I mean, I had issues with that, but that's just me. And I know that it's worked for other people, and that's great. So that it works, but I just don't understand that. Like, why not get up there and say, I'm a competent, intelligent woman, and I will beat this,
right?
Something like that, but that's just me.
Luckily, I was in more, less rigid groups because it was adult children of alcoholics, just so I could get into that program, and then the sexual abuse survivors, and it wasn't quite as like that.
Okay. So I haven't ever been in it, but I've just heard what people told me, and I just found that I questioned it. I wondered how it could be beneficial, and apparently it is in some ways, because it does help people, but there's a lot of people it doesn't help too. So
I agree. Yeah, I mean, it's a both end, but I will tell you, with when my stuff hit, any morsel of anything spiritual helped. It was like creating a beautiful sandwich of spiritual nurturing, because when you have to find your way up and out of it, otherwise it'll take you down and engulf you, and that's of course not my aim. So so I've gotten to this really, really neat place with this organic intelligence that they're working with, and it's where they're starting to put pertinence. It's very positive reinforcement based, and they're starting to put pertinence in how our body is automatically organized to heal on its own. Like, we have the capabilities to do it, and it's through like free association. So say a child is sitting in a school classroom and the teacher's talking, and they're going, Johnny, what are you looking at? And he'll say something like, I see this beautiful butterfly outside. What they're teaching is that's really, really pertinent. Like, there's some adequate information that's going to be very telling that you can work with. And it's teaching us, because our life is so intense. So you can get caught up in that intensity, and it can take you down.
Yeah.
There's another way through this method, which I really want to go into and study more and more, where you learn to, it's almost like you learn to get to the 0 point and a neutral point with intensity. So you keep upscaling the intensity of what you can muster through, and how things won't take you down like they used to. You don't have an expectation that the outcome has to go a certain way. So it really, really helped me to get this, and it's been fascinating. I haven't ever gone. I'm on like an advanced class on trauma now, and learning, like, I'm learning about brain inflammation. I mean, how many of us have some sort of brain inflammation, and it affects everything.
Everything.
I mean, I ended up having my thyroid out, and I know it's because I got exposed to the radiation. I had it before anybody ever talked about it, and I ended up with a pigmentation all down my one side. And I had a memory. One of my memories was where I had 3 different instances where I think I flatlined, and this was where they had me in some kind of a ionization tank, and they all had costumes on with gloves, and would go in, the holes to change my IVs and do stuff like that. And it was called a negative ionization chamber. I had no idea what something like that was, and it was because of the exposure to radiation. So I definitely had that one show up. One of the big mistakes that I made along the way was I was so early on with all this, there wasn't that much out there. So one of the people that came into my periphery that was doing stuff, he actually ended up being somebody that was very close to Max Spears right before he died. So he wasn't a good
He
Joe.
was, yeah, he was killed, wasn't he?
Yeah, Max was, yeah.
Yeah.
And this was somebody that was in Poland with him. So this person did a scan on me, which is it's really like when somebody does like a psychic reading. And after that, I started getting needle marks on my body. At first, it started on my arms, and I literally, my body's coated with needle marks and markings. And sometimes it's like a big claw mark, like an animal. I mean, all the time, it doesn't ever quit. Like I literally clean blood off my sheets
What
all
is
the time.
that from? May I ask you?
It's,
Do you have
it's
any idea at all? Are you in fights with some kinds of entities at night, or
Well, we want to assume
what?
that it's all negative. I want to hope that maybe some of it's positive, but most of it is, from what I understand, is I'm really leased out all over the place, and somehow you get these contracts. Like I know Tony Rodriguez talked about. He's 10 years old, and some guy, he ends up, traversing through bending time and going out into different realms, and some guy's really fun and jovial and says, hey, I can give you 20 more years on your life, you want to do it, and he's got a camaraderie with this 10-year-old kid, and the kid says yes. So somewhere, somehow, I've got some contracts where I agreed to it, and it's horrible. I mean, I've only heard of like 4 other people that I know of come into contact with. That doesn't mean there's not lots of them out there. I don't know, because
Isn't
I
it
haven't.
somehow possible to negate those contracts based on the fact that there wasn't total disclosure? I'm sure.
I mean, I can't even tell you how many different types of revocations I've done. I cannot tell you how many wonderful
I've done
healers
that.
I've worked with, and nobody is succeeding with this one. And it is, I mean, the goal here is to not necessarily, because I do think so much of this whole reality is an illusion. So
Oh yeah.
it's good to not engage it, and like the one person that does energy work on me said, don't engage it. Just, okay, marks, and let it go, which sounds good until you have to clean up after it. And it just, I mean, my poor husband, sometimes when he sees it, he's just like, man. And they change all the time, so it's different groups. And the work that they've been getting me on lately is quantum corporations. There's quantum time corporations that are nasty dogs. They're really trying to bring in not good timelines, and they can find ways, like if you believe in reincarnation, if you've had a past life where you haven't been the optimum personality, they know how to get to those lifetimes, and then they can try and use that in a mirroring way to send their negativity here, so you can hold the energy that might bring it through, which I keep clearing that stuff out, but they just keep coming in with something more, because I mean, this is like aviation corporations. I mean,
Wow.
they don't
Well,
stop. They don't stop.
let me throw this in here at the moment from Short Order Cook, because I think it's a good point. And this was to what we were saying before about the 12-step program and so on. The reinforcement of trauma and guilt doesn't allow you out of that cage, or never having the same counselor and having to repeat your story over and over. That's always a fun one. You're telling it all over again because you don't have the same counselor. I've been to some counseling myself, and that is, I know exactly what he's talking about. And then the next thing that he brought up too, which is relevant, these terrible contracts that coerce people into these programs.
And especially when you're a child. Like I have memories of 2 years old. 2 years old, where they were bringing bodies down, young kids down on a conveyor belt, and they were teaching me how to use some kind of a shotgun and do some kind of shots on them. And I do have memories related to where they worked with IVs and extracting the red stuff out of people. And but I didn't know. I mean, that was way before any of this stuff came out. And
Yeah.
they told me it had something to do with getting rid of people's fat in their bodies or something. Like they'd have them all in a big circle on what do you call it? The bed type things. I forget what those are called. And
Med bed? Or
no, wasn't a med bed. I wish
not the bed. Yeah.
connected with IVs to each other. So whatever they were to, it was
Wow.
wild stuff. So, I mean, and I want to just keep saying that I really like where I'm at. Like, in spite of all of this, I do believe if this was somehow my creation, then I came in here to take on this learning experience, however it's played out. I believe that I'm regaining my sovereignty. No matter what they do, I continue to less and less be connected to the matrix and more be in my living my life, not others living my life. I mean, yes, I still get the markings, but for the most part, like I can't even tell you how far I've come. Like it was only a couple years ago where I really understood, and with somebody's help, I didn't realize I was never in my body. When you hit that level of trauma, you literally jump out of your body and you're not in your body energetically. And that's why you have all this drama and junk and stuff, because so much else can come into your body. So I've become so much more a part of my body. And now with understanding, learning about trauma, mitochondria, brain inflammation, like I'm learning all these different things that I had as a result of my health. So, and I'm health wise, I think I really have great health considering too.
Well, I have to say this just because you brought it up. I carry a product called More Mito, and it feeds the mitochondria, because everybody is having their mitochondria damaged or dysfunctional in such that, and as we age, we have less and less of it all the time as well. And people have had really remarkable things happen with this product. So that and the others, the super patch that I put up. And, I carry other ones, but I don't like to waste a lot of time talking about that, because that's not why I do these shows. But I do depend on the support of my listeners to help in that capacity in some ways, because I can't cover it all myself. But anyway, that's enough on that. I just like you to know that I know about the mitochondria and all the dysfunctionality that's going on with people, and why people's energy, they don't have any. It's all related to that. And that it's also related to the frequencies that they are putting on us. And I think I don't know if the frequency fence is down now. I think it is. Do you know anything about that?
I mean, I'm definitely hearing where there's some huge successes that are happening with that. So what I would say is I feel like it's what do I want to say? It's thinning and diminishing more and more every day. I mean, because like the Schumann, I heard just the other day that the Schumann went from 5.4 for a whole week, and then it went up to 14 on Sunday. So we're like going, and what this person who's a physicist was stating was that we as humans really are connected to the Schumann resonance. Like we have to have that in order just to be here on Earth.
Don't we affect that, and it affects us? We affect it. Like when we certain consciousness things that are going on alter it, either up or down. Is that correct? That's how I understand it anyway.
And one of the things this guy was talking about, his name's Steve Hoskinson, was talking about this organic intelligence, is that we're meant that. It's basically creating a different orientation in your life towards intensity. And the way that it's processed is more through free association. And you start to learn how to me, it feels like you're working with your trauma using your right brain. Like it's almost like there's this whole vessel or this whole cornucopia of information and data that is always available to us, because it's our automatic organization of our energetic body. So it's always been there. And that's why I feel so blessed, because even though I've been doing this journey for so long, at 37 years, it feels like a turtle pace. But when I look at who I am and how far I've come, like, I've had so many people say to me, if I were you, I'd be in a ball and not be going out into the world at all. And because I've been so committed to my healing and to deprogramming and to rising above this stuff, I'm now getting to something like understanding this. I mean, some people say the word divine intelligence, but I'm still learning what it is because I literally just came across it, but I love it and connected to it so much. I was like, oh my gosh, it just feels like you don't have to go into the mental part in order to heal your trauma, that you have this plethora or this library of divine intelligence that's always with you, that you can keep as you learn how to communicate and understand the messages and cues that your environment is sensing from your body. Because using your senses and connecting to your environment, and somehow you pick up the cues so that you're always getting some kind of messaging and data. And I still have a long way to go to understand it. But it was just so cool to get, because I just believe we're creator beings and we're meant to do really cool stuff, to the point of where these beings and whatever wanted to completely shackle us and break us down. And guess what? They're not going to make it. Are they going to get a lot of people? You bet. But do I think there's a lot of us that are going to surpass it? Yes.
The only way they're getting a lot of people is through poisoning the food, air, and water. And it makes it a little more difficult for people to see through or to wade through. It's like trying to wade through a trash barrel to get something you're looking for. And they've done that to the entire planet, really, with frequencies and so on. So it is amazing where we're at. They can't keep us down. We have a lot of what they called junk DNA. It's not junk DNA. We were at one time extremely powerful beings created to, I think, police the universe. And that's why they had to take us down. That's why they had to genetically alter us and infiltrate us. And it's just like they're doing now with all this immigration stuff. It's a way of changing history. It's a way of changing the frequency of the planet. If you have people here that are higher consciousness, even though whatever, you can bring in a bunch of totally different culture that, for example, hates women. It doesn't even. I listened to a little video clip of somebody the other day. He was talking to some people from, I don't know if they were from West Africa, and they were talking about it was okay to rape women. And it was like he was trying to say, well, what about how she feels? It's like the only thing that came out of his mouth was something related to him. You know what I mean? It was all about him. Like, that didn't even matter. It's like you're not even a human. That kind of stuff coming into our country is not a good thing. I'm sorry.
And it's huge. It's definitely huge. It's
intentional.
The one thing that I say, though, is, right now 3D is a polarity universe. So when you bring in this level of that extreme, you're going to get this level of
the other.
And it's freaking. I mean, look. I shouldn't be alive. I shouldn't be here having this conversation and feeling as lovely as I feel with everything that I've witnessed. And believe me, I've been I went all over. I went to all over England. I've been in castles. I've been in, where they chase you as children with a dog and guns.
Oh, did you pay? You were a recipient of that thing as well, where they actually people. I bet they can hardly believe this, that they would actually take children, strip them naked, and tell them to run for their life.
Right.
That's what they do.
Well, and then they did a lot of stuff where they mixed humans and animals. They mixed that. They did that chimera yucky stuff. And then as little kids, they would throw you in this group room where all these, whatever they were, and allow them to do stuff to you as a little kid. I mean, that's why I'm saying this is the testimonial that I can bring forward about that, is that we can rise above even the nastiest migrants that come into our, across the border. there's so much at work here. There's so
Mm-hmm.
there has to be that. And when I get to meet super soldiers, I definitely have a strong reverence for them, and because the level of what they've witnessed, and and yet they're still out there supporting people healing, and they're so many of them have just such great big dear hearts, and so it is a testament
That comes
to.
from experiences like that,
Mhm.
unfortunately.
Well, and we
Well,
chose to come in here and take this stuff on.
because we knew we could beat it.
Well, I don't know if we completely knew it, but I mean, I haven't ever.
That's a real faith in one's spirit and higher self to say, I can do this. This needs to be done. And I don't care. I'm going to take the hits and I'm going to rise above it all.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of attitude will get you where you want to go.
Well, and it's so cool because we're first wavers. And then when you get to see now, I mean, there's supposed to be so many beautiful children coming in. I mean, these children, oh my God, these babies being born right now. I mean, they're going to be able to clean the water in a split second with their abilities. And they, many of them are supposedly not coming in here with any kind of karmic stuff. So,
they'll see right through everything. That's the beauty of it too. And I just want to put this up. Wide Awake says, at our beginning, we were feared by all because our powers as gods given by source were intact.
Right.
So they unintacted us.
Well, they did. They tried.
They tried as much as they tried.
But
And for some reason, which is really bizarre too, is and trying to make sense out of this, to have to put people like yourself and others through torture in order to bring out the best in them, or their psychic abilities or the psi abilities, whatever you want to call them, it's just amazing. I mean, it's if they wouldn't have been taken away in the first place, that wouldn't have to happen. Or if they knew how to reconnect the junk DNA, and none of that would have been necessary.
Well, and like you look at, we have this in such a big way. I worked with women ex-offenders in a nonprofit for 10 years. And I met a woman who was in a crystal meth distributor for 20 years. She was huge. And the person that busted her went in and did the crystal meth within her group for 2 years. Now, I mean, that's just as raw. Like, can you imagine trying to break free of, you go in and get hooked on crystal meth just so you can bust, somebody of that caliber? I mean, and we have that within everything that's going on right now. We have, people that are, black cats, but really aren't black cats. We have that kind of mire in the darkest of the darkest of the darkest. But I also believe the people like myself that somehow chose this absolutely horrific reality came in here with a pretty good size bit of good energy, of light energy, that I could come in here and still be here now. Like there was even like a separate level of this one hospital where they took me because definitely I had flatline stuff, and it wasn't, nobody even knew about this level of a hospital in the hospital. Like, there's just so much of this absolute craziness like that's been allowed to go on. So, and I was used as a breeder. So I believe at one point I had 37 children.
Oh my God.
Somebody asked about downloads. What's a download? And to me, a download is just where you get, it's like that higher aspect of yourself, if you want to call it more the formless part of yourself, that's spiritual, brings through information into me, into my matter self, my form self here. So a lot of that has continued to be, what's the word?
It's comparative to like a software program that's downloaded into your head. As bizarre as that may sound. But we are biological computers. We really are. And that's why they can hack us too, unfortunately. But once again, we will rise above it all.
We
And
will.
Wide Awake is saying the children coming in have all their DNA intact. Yeah, good. That's what they're gonna kick some butt. Yeah.
That person that I met, I wish I could remember the name of the project. She and her husband were both physicists. She's brilliant, but she was very, very much awake, and she got involved in some kind of a project. It was during her sleep, of course, but they took her to different locations where she got to literally see almost like the whole panorama story about the crystal children coming in and everything that they were going to be a part of. And they did this over like a 6-week period. So it's like, again, when we look at energies, it's like they brought in a select group of people that had high enough energies to get to hear about this, but they're also like holding that energy with the knowledge that they're gaining that this is going to be taking place. So here you have people walking around on this earth that have that kind of wisdom to understand what's going to be coming with these children and to truly get to see what they're bringing forward. So,
well, you have to say us first wavers must have had a heck of a lot of light to be able to withstand at the as you get into the older ages, you have been bombarded with so much by that time, from the chemicals and trash to the mind control to all of it, and we come out of it unscathed, basically. I'm still going.
Look what you're doing, Gail. I mean, look what you're bringing forward and all the people you're giving voice to. I mean, that to me, that is an elder. Like, it's like we can be grateful. And I've actually had younger people say to me, "Thank you so much for everything you've done as an elder." Like you had to forge the and pioneer the earth for others to be able to come in and bring, because you raise the frequency just from being willing to trudge through all this. So, it's neat, because one of the things they do talk about, that organic intelligence, is that we truly are tribal people. We're meant to be in community. We're meant to work together and do this stuff. And they've completely taken everything out where somebody has to have more power and more money and a bigger house or things like that, versus like when you see something like a tornado, and how everybody comes together, and there's just this absolute self-love and love of others that emanates because they're coming together and working towards a common cause and a common denominator. And we're meant to be that way, and I have faith that that's what we're working towards, and that's what we're going to create for ourselves, where we learn how to come together in community. And the more I do the up leveling with my frequency, I'm just astounded at the people I keep meeting.
Well, you know what? We are actually running out of time very quickly, and we probably will have to do more than one, because there's a lot of things that I wanted to bring up that we haven't even begun to cover yet. So I hope you are willing to do that.
I would love it. I would love it.
This is somebody Jay thought is around a lot, and she or he, I don't know which it is, tell you the truth. How can someone throttle these downloads? Are we being muffled? How to correctly perceive or receive download and not confuse it for delusion or psychic attack?
What can I say as an answer to something like that?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I don't know if you would have an answer.
I would just say that there, I think the key is to make sure that you're actually energetically in your body. The more you're completely, your whole energy body is in your body.
Right?
Huh?
Grounding, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's so much that it's sometimes you do need outside energy workers to help you bring it in, and then you have to be careful of that. But the only thing
that's tricky, because a lot of people don't have the money necessarily. So it's like we have to come up with ways to help them that doesn't require money. I mean, I can't afford to go. There's a lot of people that are healers and stuff I'd be more than happy to go to, but I don't have the money to do it either. you know, and there's a lot of people like that. That's, you know, I'm very much like my listening audience. That's an issue for people is what I'm getting at. And that's what it's also one of the reasons why I do these kinds of shows, because they can help people. That's the whole idea.
And they can help your frequency. They can help up level yours so that somebody that speaks of downloads. So, I mean, like I was guided. My guides just came in and said, contact Gail of Gaia. You're supposed to be on her show. And then like a couple of days later, they said to me, this is because we want your children. If there's any of your children that hear your voice, they're going to know that they can have hope and that they're going to be okay. And I was like, okay, that was really wild to get that, because I was like, wow. I mean, you know, I hope that the ones that I've had to breed out there, you know my voice. I don't know how many of them got to hear it, but that's what they told me. I was like, wow, okay.
Wow, that's fascinating. Well, we'll definitely have you on again, because I want to keep this at a level within. It has to be less than 60 minutes, because. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a marathon day of people like yourself telling their stories that they haven't been able to tell, because that's very therapeutic for people. And it's not only therapeutic for you, but it's therapeutic for the people in the listening audience who maybe have done similar things or had similar things happen to them. And you've certainly been through it. And we haven't even touched the surface, I'm afraid. And so if you don't mind, we'll just schedule another show.
Sure.
And, last time I did write 2 in a row, but I don't know if I'm ready to do that today. But
no, let's because this is big stuff, and we almost need to let it integrate and assimilate, because it's some rough energy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
I think it'll work just in the right way.
Okay. And then I would just like, and in closing remarks to the listening audience, if you haven't checked out some of the products and so on, I appreciate it, because it does support the channel, either that or the Patreon, either one. It helps a lot. So,
and check out my Recovering Through Grief podcast. They are absolutely profound, good.
Oh, let me show you. No, I meant to show you a website real quick.
It's BluVisionOracle.com, and that's BLU, not BLUE, because I couldn't get the domain name. But they're beautiful. They're beautiful.
It's a very beautiful website.
But these Recovering Through Grief podcasts that I've done in the last year are unbelievable. I'm just astounded with the data that came in and the information that these people brought forward.
So I just wanted to scroll through this real quick, and then we're going to have to go. And I want to thank you, Annie. It's been wonderful, and we will schedule you maybe in another week or so, and we will have a part 2.
All righty. Thank you, sweetie.
All right. Thank you, listening audience. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting the program. I love all you guys. And you take care and have a great rest of your day, evening, or whatever time it is. Okay. Bye.
We have found our way. It's a brand new day, and we'll be making history. Are you with me? Won't you stay? We have come so far. This is who we are. And like the rising sun, we have just begun to play our part. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show our colors. We are heroes and dreamers. We are restless believers. Stronger than ever. Never say never. Don't look back now. Don't look back now. Rise up. Stand with each other. We destiny awaits. We are all the actors in the stories we create. Hope will be our guide. We'll no longer hide. When we roll like thunder, feel the wonder from inside. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show our colors. We are